Good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice.
And I am Alfred Ocansey.
The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. You're also streaming live on Facebook 3FM 92.7. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours, Finance Minister Amin Adam in a strong defense of the country's current economic fortunes, insisting measures are yielding positive results as IMF third tranche of $360 million hits Ghana's account today. We have details for you because the Finance Minister did not spare the minorities ranking member on Parliament's Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo. He's accused him of instigating speculation against the city.
This evening, the National Democratic Congress proposes an adjustment of the Electoral Commission's calendar to accommodate its technical and technological inefficiencies since it rolled out electoral activities. But the MPP disagrees. We'll tell you exactly what happened at the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, that's the IPAC meetings earlier today.
Also, police commences investigation into the alleged killing of 2 children in a town near Tamale in the northern region. We'll bring you an update on the development as residents remain in shock.
Also, this evening here on your Election Command Center, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the NPP, formally informs the NPP national officers about his selection of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, popularly referred to as Napo, as its running mate. We'll tell you exactly what the reactions has been and also what the constituency, that's the Menchia South constituency residents and constituents have to say about the MP being selected as a running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia going into election 2024 here on your Election Command Center. All of these and more in the next 1 hour 30 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond.
For now, though, Grace Hamwajiman is here with the summaries. Grace.
Yes, Beatrice, let's begin from the quarters of the NPP because flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has formally informed the party's national officers about his running mate choice in the person of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. This was announced by the national organizer of the NPP, Henry Nana Boakye, in a Facebook post on Monday, July 1. Nana B stated Dr. Bawumia officially informed the party and in a meeting that took place at the party's headquarters following an earlier presentation of Dr. Opoku Prempeh's nomination to the Majority Caucus in Parliament. The nomination is now awaiting the decision of the National Council, which is the final approving body of the NPP. We know the National Council is scheduled for a Thursday meeting where Dr. Bawumia is expected to officially announce his choice to them. Also, the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has revealed that the government has reached an agreement with 5 out of the 7 independent power producers, IPPs, over debt settlement. As part of the agreement, the government has paid an amount of $400 million to the IPPs. Speaking during a joint Ministry of Finance, Bank of Ghana, an IMF press conference on the disbursement of the $360 million third tranche in Accra, Dr. Amin stated that the threats that the IPPs issued to shut down their plants will not happen because of the agreement. And Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has proposed a 10% quota for cadet students to be recruited and enlisted into the various security services when they complete their schooling. He's confident this will help address the manpower needs of the security agencies in the country, and is also proposing that July 1 every year should be set aside as a National Youth Day in Ghana. Bawumia was speaking to mark the 64th Republic Day celebration and 70 years anniversary of cadetting in Ghana. That's it for the summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Hamwajiman. Let's bring you the details of the stories. And it's been a difficult journey for Ghana's economy since COVID struck in 2020. But the country's finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says that the strong leadership of the president has ensured that measures put in place to revive the economy are yielding positive results. That was Dr. Adams' conclusion at the joint press conference the Finance Ministry led together with the International Monetary Fund today. And we'll be hearing from Dr. Amin Adam shortly, and also the IMF mission chief. Let's rather listen to Dr. Amin Adam justifying his position on Ghana's current economic state. Dr. Amin Adam said that the country's macroeconomic environment also continues to be stable.
The progress Ghana has made is impressive. On the fiscal front, to bring public finances back on a sustainable track, the government has continued to adjust the policy stance. The government's primary balance improved by 4 percentage points of GDP last year, which is quite remarkable. It is set to improve by another 1 percentage point this year, with Ghana posting the progress Ghana has made is impressive. On the fiscal front, to bring public finances back on a sustainable track, the government has continued to adjust the policy stance. The government's primary balance improved by 4 percentage points of GDP last year, which is quite remarkable. It is set to improve by another 1 percentage point this year, with Ghana posting a primary balance surplus. Overall performance under the IMF-supported program has been generally strong. Ghana has met all quantitative performance criteria and almost all the indicative targets.
Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, the concluded negotiations and the agreements reached are already bearing fruits. Ghana's 2027 bonds jumped to rank among the top performers in emerging markets after Monday's announcement. The price of debt due in March 2027 climbed to 52.69 cents on the dollar on the same day. A close at that level will be the highest since August 2022. And this is according to Bloomberg. We are expecting the performance to even get better and better in the weeks and months ahead. So whilst Ghana completed a comprehensive restructuring of our debts in record time, there have been too many costly delays suffered by both debtor countries and creditors. And we urge all stakeholders in the international debt architecture to work together to strengthen the common framework for faster and more effective debt resolution, so we can improve on the prevailing international architecture for sovereign debt restructuring. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to use this moment to thank the bondholders for their constructive engagement and to extend our gratitude to our OCC co-chairs, China and France, for their leadership and support. Reaching an agreement with bondholders, with both the bondholders and the official creditors, demonstrate the confidence of the international community and financial markets in Ghana. The government of Ghana wants to deeply thank the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, our bilateral creditors, the private creditors and their advisors, Rothschild & Co. and Oric, and our advisors, Lazard and Hogan Lovells, Global Sovereign Advisors, GSA Lee Bushit, and our strategic advisor, Algest, for their relentless efforts of this important debt restructuring.
You heard that the Finance Minister, Dr. Amin Adam, at that press conference today. Let's listen to what the IMF mission chief to Ghana, Stefan Hode, said regarding Ghana's economy at the same press conference.
The progress Ghana has made is impressive. On the fiscal front, to bring public finances back on a sustainable track, the government has continued to adjust the policy stance. The government's primary balance improved by 4 percentage points of GDP last year, which is quite remarkable. It is set to improve by another 1 percentage point this year, with Ghana posting a primary balance surplus. Overall performance under the IMF-supported program has been generally strong. Ghana has met all quantitative performance criteria and almost all the indicative targets, and good progress was made on key structural milestones. All of these efforts are yielding positive results. Signs of economic stabilization are emerging. For example, economic growth has proven more resilient than initially envisaged. Therefore, we are revising our growth projection up from 2.8 to 3.1% for 2024. Inflation is declining rapidly, from 54% in December 2022 to 23% in May 2024. And Ghana's international reserves have been increasing. Looking ahead, staying the course by adhering to the committed policy and reform agenda remains essential to fully restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, especially in the context of the upcoming general elections. We welcome the commitment from Minister Adam and various other government officials to stay the course on reforms. Let me end by reiterating the IMF's unwavering commitment to continue supporting Ghana. The completion of the second review marks another important milestone.
You heard Stefan Hode. He is the IMF mission chief to Ghana, and we'll be hearing more from the finance minister very shortly. But we are joined by Professor John Gache. He is an economist at the University of Cape Coast. Good evening to you, Prof. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Prof.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you followed this press conference and heard the finance minister's submission on the economy. We just played that of Stefan Hode. Your impression of the details given us by both men?
I think what is happening is that the IMF, in attempt to release part of the loan that they are extending to Ghana, they have laid down some conditions to fulfill. And when the government fulfills those conditions, then the IMF releases the money. And the last leg of the conditions is to sign a memorandum of understanding with the external creditor community, so that when that memorandum of understanding is signed, then the IMF can go ahead to release the money. It is now that the government will now face the creditors one by one to have specific agreements with them. So if Stefan is talking about things are going as planned, and then they are fulfilling the conditions that are laid down, it is not equal to the IMF enhancing job opportunities, the IMF enhancing new opportunity, or the government of Ghana is able to fight food inflation, is able to produce in Ghana, is able to produce its own tomatoes, or about 80% of its tomatoes to use in Ghana. That is not what it is. What Ghanaians will be looking at is to see what their constitution says in Article 36(1), that when economy is managed well, the people smile, the people are happy, the people are engaged in sound jobs, and the government is able to see the vulnerable and to support the vulnerable in society. As it is now, the vulnerable in the area of people in critical health needs are not getting that. People are not getting water to drink. A lot of distortion in the expectation of the people. So these are two separate things that is happening. So when you hear the IMF talk like that, it's only talking about the conditions that they have agreed on, for which the government has fulfilled those metrics in line with the conditions.
And nonetheless, we heard that, and that was something that we knew about even before this press conference, that the second tranche, which had been approved as a result of the decision of the executive board, was hitting our accounts today. That's the $360 million. What kind of positive change do you expect? I mean, having said all that you've said, with this hitting our account now?
Well, we need to ask ourselves, we have received some 600 million in the past by this IMF agreement. Ask yourself what change has been brought to us in terms of the performance of the TV, in terms of cost of living, in terms of productivity, in terms of debt sustainability. So we didn't have much impact of those monies, and so will it be for the 360 million that we have received. Again, the IMF has put a limit as to how much the central bank can support the currency. So that money that is coming is not coming to give an intervention in the market directly. It's only coming to build reserves, and perhaps some will be left to support the financing of the budget. So I'm not sure it's going to do so much.
You don't think
again,
that the monies might have influenced, for instance, this macroeconomic environment that both the IMF and the finance minister talked about?
No, not at all. Not at all, because the money is made reserve. We have not built the reserve to that level yet. So that is a serious matter for the IMF. Because, see, the IMF will also want to release the money such that by the time they finish the program, what they have told the board to achieve for Ghana, it is achieved. So the IMF has put stringent measures in place so that those money will not be spent on activities that are not meant for it. So cardinal on that disbursement line is the building of the reserve. Then the rest will be used to finance the budget. And I pose a question. You have spent over 600 million. You have not seen significant change. Let us not forget the drop down in inflation from 53% to around the level it is now. It's not because of the money that the IMF has given. It is because the IMF has stopped government from borrowing from the central bank. And as soon as that exercise kicked in, we saw the component of the inflation that is caused by over borrowing from the central bank by the government is out. So let us appreciate that. So I'm saying that we are not going to see any extraordinary effect of that on the currency and the macroeconomic indicators. Look, the economy also thrives on information. We are expecting this money to come long time, and by this time it will be imbibed on the psychic of the market already. So when the actual money comes, it means very little to the market. Assuming that we are there, and all of a sudden 360 million drop, that would change the psychic of the market. But the finance minister went to London about a week or two ago to say that the following day the exchange rate will be a different thing in the market. The market didn't listen to him. The market didn't mind him. So he has put out this information, even though we are aware, he has put it out forcefully already. So it doesn't mean so much for the market now.
It may not mean so much for the market, as you say, but again, just a final one from me before Alfred comes in. Again, we heard the finance minister say that before the close of the fourth quarter, we should expect another 360 million. I think that should make some change because already when the finance minister talked about the cedi improving, we heard some other economists saying that if there's going to be any improvement at all, we should see it getting to the close of the year.
Well, we collected $600 million from the IMF. What significant thing are we seeing? And we are collecting 360 million, and we will collect another one in the next quarter. It will not bring a miracle to the Ghanaian economy. The Ghanaian economy is importing everything that we are consuming, including agricultural produce. We are importing them. So that will not change, and the effect of that will not change. The IMF money will not change the taxes and the levies that are being imposed on the economy. Do not change that. Do not change that. And remember, we are also in election year. The kind of expenditure that is going on will not change because the IMF has released some money. No, that will not change.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. Professor John Gache, he is an economist with the University of Cape Coast.
Now, let's stay a bit further on this matter and the joint press conference by the IMF and the Finance Ministry earlier today. And the Minister for Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has criticized the Bogatanga Central Member of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, for allegedly encouraging people to purchase dollars for their business operations. Dr. Amin accused the Honorable Isaac Adongo of attempting to undermine the Ghanaian cedi and causing further depreciation with his comments, as it were, insightful speculation of the depreciation of the cedi. Let's first take a listen to the Finance Minister, and then we'll have a conversation on whether or not what is happening to the cedi is largely as a result of speculation, as the Finance Minister talks about.
People have been deliberately inciting speculation, but we never got it too real, as we saw only 2 or 3 days ago, when my good friend and my brother, the Honorable Adongo, went out there urging people to buy dollars to do their business. And this was after I indicated at the town hall meeting in London that with all the policies we are implementing, with the flows that we are expecting from external sources, and with the completion of our restructuring, the debt restructuring with our bilateral official creditors as well as our Eurobond holders, we saw the city becoming stronger and stronger.
Well, so that's the Finance Minister there. Let's have a conversation on this. And Professor Patrick Esuming is an associate professor at the Economics Department, University of Ghana Business School, and also a development economist who's been following this particular conversation about the cedi depreciation over the period. Professor Esuming, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening and good evening to our listeners.
Now, you hear the Finance Minister talk about the situation with the cedi depreciation. Says deliberately insightful speculation by the Honorable Isaac Adongo. You study the market movement a lot. Has speculation influenced the cedi depreciation that significantly or largely, as the minister is saying, as against the individuals or business people taking the rational decision of investing in the dollar as a store of value?
So, first of all, I think when someone make a comment to the effect that businesses should go ahead and buy dollars for their businesses, I'm not sure that we should interpret that as speculation or inciting. I think if people really do business that require them to buy dollars, then of course you expect that they will buy the dollars. Now, the issue about the extent to which speculation has played a part, you get a sense that, especially the last, in May, for instance, there was a sense that there was a lot of speculative activity, because in some sense, the fundamentals that determine the exchange rate probably hadn't moved as much. But we have to understand that the speculation itself, it has some basis. People don't just get up and start saying, I'm going to speculate that the cedi goes back. If there's a sense that the central bank doesn't have the reserves to back up the cedi, then of course the speculation will set in. So I think that some element of speculation may have played a role in the recent, especially at the start of the year. But it's a mixture of things. The first quarter, we all see that kind of depreciation because of the structure of our finances. Companies have to repay companies have to declare their profit and repatriate, and then also importers who have bought on credit have to repay. So that is always there. So I'm a little surprised that there's too much emphasis on by the finance minister on that particular comment. In any case, there are things that we can do to tighten up our forest regulations. Maybe we should consider that instead. I mean, there's no reason why people who don't need to buy dollars should be allowed to be buying dollars. So, that would be my response to that.
So truthfully and in reality, I mean, the fact on the market is that the cedi depreciation cannot be largely due to speculation as the finance minister wants to believe, or wants us to make the point?
I mean, that wouldn't be my interpretation. Speculation, we have played a role, but I don't think it would be, you should be attributing the depreciation mainly to speculation. That wouldn't be my view.
I see. Well, so, please, if you can kindly hold on a bit for me, I would really appreciate that. And we have the Honorable Isaac Adongo joining us on the telephone now. And he's a member of parliament for the Bogatanga Central constituency. Honorable Isaac Adongo, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to your listeners.
This is what the finance minister says you have been doing, at least over the last few days. Only take a listen to him.
People have been deliberately inciting speculation, but we never got it too real as we saw only 2 or 3 days ago, when my good friend and my brother, the Honorable Adongo, went out there urging people to buy dollars to do their business. And this was after I indicated at the town hall meeting in London that with all the policies we are implementing, with the flows that we are expecting from external sources, and with the completion of our restructuring, the debt restructuring with our bilateral official creditors as well as our Eurobond holders, we saw the city becoming stronger and stronger.
Well, so that's the finance minister to you, that you are deliberately inciting speculation, which has influenced the depreciation of the city. No.
Well, I didn't know my voice was that strong. But if I tell businessmen, you told businessmen that they should watch the city by the next Monday. So you expected the businessman to rely on those your comments to his detriment. And I told the businessman in that press conference, if you listen to the full tape, I told the people that I do not want people to buy dollars if they don't need them. But if you're a businessman who needs dollars to do your business, by all means go and buy them and not rely on the comments of the finance minister to fool you to your detriment. If that is speculation, they held a whole lecture to incite Ghanaians to hold the dollar. Today, they are crying over just a press conference, advising the businessman to be realistic. Bro, why do people buy dollars? There are 3 basic drivers for the purchase of a currency. One is for transactional purposes. So when you go into the market, you need dollars to do your business, you buy them for transactional purposes. When you are not too sure that you will get the dollars, you move to the next level we call precautionary demand for the currency. You decide to exercise precaution. So you buy the dollars ahead in order to hedge yourself. If that also fails, then it means that there is an acute shortage of that dollar. And as a result, people then begin to engage in arbitrage. And that is when speculation comes in. So if you have managed the currency, said that you have enough dollars in the market to deal with transactions, people will not even move to precaution, let alone to move to speculation. So it is your own failure. If people go on the market and they get dollars to do their business, nobody will speculate on the dollar. But in any case, the NPP's philosophy of managing this country is to blame everybody but not themselves. And they must begin to understand that as a collective, they should credit the people of Ghana with some modicum of intelligence. That Ghanaians collectively are 1,000,000 times intelligent than the whole government of the NPP put together. When the finance minister told them that somehow or another, some mirage, some 4 billion cash flow was coming into this country, knowing that there is no such $4 billion coming into the country, but that you have been given the arrears of debt service after you suspended payment, what were you seeking to do? You were seeking not to be truthful to the people. You were lying to them. And if I go and tell the people that, look, don't listen to the finance minister because no $4 billion is coming in, and that they have not told you who is bringing that $4 billion, And to the best of my knowledge, we owe $4 billion in arrears of debt service, which has been forgiven. How does that amount to $4 billion cash flow coming into the economy?
Well, he said he was saying all these things to send the positive signal.
And do the difficult job for which we voted for them.
He said all these statements were to send positive signals to the economy so that people
and
would
I was
now.
telling them that positive signal will be to their detriment because the dollar will not the city will not stabilize on account of falsehood and lies. Where are we now after 1 week? After 1 week, the exchange rate is 5.7. So if somebody failed to buy at 5.4, 5.5, and today he's going to buy at 5.7, will the minister give him the difference to pay? So I was advising the businessman to be realistic and use your own instincts and guard yourself against suffering the detriment of listening to the finance minister, whose main objective was to throw dust into your eyes. As we speak today, they are celebrating $360 million, knowing fair well that our challenges, our forex challenges today, is not a $360 million problem. That $1.2 billion they collected from the IMF did not stabilize the city. If you could not stabilize the city with $1.2 billion, you think it would go with $360 million? So which businessman, in his right senses, will stop buying dollars because you are pretending as you are the $360 million? We all know that you can't even intervene in the market. The IMF has placed a very stringent rule on those monies they are giving you, that those monies should not find their way into the market. Those monies should be used to build our reserves. So how can you use the $360 million to build your reserves and then turn around and pretend that when somebody needs some dollars, you will get into the market and all the dollars to buy? Are you not trying to collapse that person's business by deceiving to rely on?
I see, but don't want to go. I see, and I want us to establish some differences, and if you can kindly reposition, because your line to me is breaking up a bit. It's a bit cranky. First of all, at what point does the individual rational decision of investing in dollars or buying dollars as a store of value amount to a response to speculation? Because I want that distinction, because rationally, any human being who is investing would respond to the market trends. But how does that amount to speculation?
Okay, so let me ask you this question. One of the key sources of investment in our country has been the Ghana bonds, the government of Ghana bonds. People put their money in the government of Ghana bonds. You came and gave CDEP. You yourself in your budget, you indicated that investors have lost 60 billion Ghana cedis. So now, if you have money, instead of putting them in your government of Ghana bonds, you are putting them in dollars as a store of value. And you expect the dollar the cedi to be stronger? Don't you know that your DDEP and your collapsing of the bond market is partly to blame for people now resorting to the dollar and the pound sterling as a store of value? Since when did speculation become a crime? In Kufuor's time, there was speculation and they managed the currency. In Pantama's time, there was speculation, we managed the currency. In John Mohammed's time, there was speculation, we managed the currency. So there will always be speculation. So why are you suspecting that for now, all of a sudden, because it is you, what is a normal business rational decision and conduct should give way so that you can stabilize the city? You must find a way to manage the currency in the midst of speculation, because speculation will always be there. And you, your vice president, your flag bearer, mounted a whole lecture to incite the people of Ghana against the city. And you incited people to buy the dollar and pretended that it was all about the fundamentals of the economy, only for you to do a U-turn when you were in government. That is no longer the fundamentals. By which time, the Ghanaian city has suffered from your incitement. If incitement is anything wrong, I will have no regret, because I am learning from Dr. Baumia, who taught me you must incite the currency. Even though what I said did not amount to incitement, I really will not regret it.
Mr. Adongo, I think in summary, what the finance minister is saying is that when the economy goes well, it goes well for all of us. And so we should be mindful of our commentary that could lead to negative repercussions. Do you think that's something the minority, including yourself, could do to support in ensuring that we get a stronger city, bearing in mind, yes, the fundamental challenges that we all do know about?
So is it only today that the economy grows for all of us? It wasn't 2 years ago, 3. It wasn't when they were in opposition. When they were mounting the lecture platforms, they didn't know that the economy was, if it's good for all of us. Please, they should stop the double standard.
So is it like a tit for tat? Is it like a tit for tat kind of game?
They should do the job. I am saying that. What did I say that is not true? I am telling people that continue to make a rational decision. I am saying that I am wrong in advice to make rational decisions. How does that work?
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. And that was Isaac Adongo. He is ranking member on the NDC, on the Finance Committee of Parliament. Thank you very much for speaking to us. We move on to some other issues, and the police says that it has commenced investigations into the killing of 2 children at Kakpayile, a suburb of Tamale in the northern region. Parents of the 2 children and residents of the community remain in a state of shock and anger following the discovery of the dead bodies almost decomposed in a vehicle chopped into pieces at the residence of one Malam Madaha, a spiritual leader in the area. The bodies of the deceased children, who reportedly went missing on June 22, 2024, have since been deposited at the Tamale Teaching Hospital morgue for autopsy. The Malam, who was arrested on a Saturday, has already been granted bail, and his whereabouts are known after allegedly confessing to killing 6 other children. That brings the number to 8, Alfred. And we do have on the line with us our Northern Region correspondent Christopher Amwakon, who has been following this story for us. We'll be speaking to Christopher very shortly. But let's bring you some statistics so far of what has happened over the period. Now, in January 2024, a 21-year-old father named Bright was in police custody for the murder of his 3-week-old baby in Fete Kakraba in the central region. He was suspected of killing the baby for money rituals. On April 3, 2021, teenagers Felix Nyakon and Nicholas Kinney allegedly killed and buried Ismail Mensa Abdallah in Kaswa for rituals. The 2 teenagers have been charged with conspiracy and murder. The case has been ongoing in the Accra High Court, presided over by Justice Lydia Osemafo. The case has been postponed to July 8. The executive director of Child Rights International, Bright Apia, is not enthused about the bailing of the suspect from police custody, considering the gravity of the crime, coupled with him confessing to killing 6 other children in addition. Take a listen.
Yeah, it's not the first time. There are a number of cases that relate to children that we've not really seen any conclusions from the security system as well as our judicial system in terms of what needed to be done and how those things can serve as a deterrent for other people not engaging in this kind of act. And then most importantly, how people will recognize the privacy and dignity of children so that they don't just think that they can easily have access to children to engage in any form of activity that they feel that it requires human sacrifice or people can just take advantage of children. So clearly, those things are there. And looking at the past and where we are now, you may come to some conclusion that certain things will not be done in the manner that is supposed to be done. That is why we are saying that this is an offense that has been that the perpetrator has agreed of committing that offense, and what purpose we cannot establish now. So we expect that the system will deal with it in the manner that it deserves. It is true that all offenses now are available, but there are certain circumstances that the court itself can use their discretion to decide whether or not the person deserves to be bailed or not. But looking at this particular instance, we feel that the exercise of discretion should be more prominent in terms of how they can, because such a person globally will serve as a threat to children. So the free movement of the person must be restricted by the system so that we don't see occurrence of this, so that they can also have time to do proper investigation to establish. But to release the person on the basis of what the law establishes without the court exercising its authority of using the discretionary powers given to them to restrain the person and to limit the movement of the person in order to have a very smooth investigation. We think that can also compromise the process. So we want a situation where the system would really deal with this matter. And it's about children, and children issues are very dear to the nation. So we expect that every system that handles the welfare of children must also act in a manner that shows that the state is interested in the welfare of children. Once it involves a child, it involves children, definitely we will have a we have a very keen interest in this particular matter. So we are monitoring it.
You heard the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Apia. We're joined by criminal lawyer Christian Mam-Hesse. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and thanks for having me.
You heard Bright Apia there, obviously unhappy about the fact that this suspect, who's confessed to killing 6 additional children to the 2, has been released. From where you sit, really, do you think that our justice system is doing justice, as it were, to such cases?
Again, that question is quite slippery. What I can't shudder to say is that it depended on the prosecution, because this matter, it has come forth. It is the prosecution who, in whatever circumstances, must demonstrate to the court, as the court has been called upon to exercise his discretion of bail, because by the case of Pebu versus Attorney General, bail is one that cannot be unnecessarily be withheld by the court, and that the court ought to satisfy itself that in the circumstances the exercise of his discretion is best balanced. Again, the point is that under Article 19, until one is pronounced as a criminal, that person remains a suspect. But in these special circumstances, where the person, having been arrested for this particular offense, has willfully confessed to the point, and the point is willfully, it must be established, because, well, the prosecutor will be seized with all the facts, whether he willfully or he was coerced. But where he willfully, and they can demonstrate that he willfully confessed to killing other people, then it means that indeed this person is dangerous to society, especially to children. But dealing with murder and homicide issues, this person is dangerous, and for whatever investigative processes that the police sought or are seeking to put in to unearth the other criminal acts, as he himself has confessed to, should have been brought to the fore, for the judge to have all those things in his contemplation as to whether he or she would have granted the bail or not. So it is really about arguments put out or not by the prosecutor of the case, and not necessarily the justice delivery system,
So,
the criminal justice delivery system.
Mr. Mam-Hesse, do I hear you certainly agreeing with Bright Apia that there could have been better discretion in this case?
So just as I said, the judge is an umpire. The judge is to balance the right between a suspect and one who is seeking to curtail the rights ascribed to that particular person under the Constitution. And the defense counsel for the third suspect will go into issues of human rights.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. In this case, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. In this case, the judge hasn't even come in because he was arrested on Saturday and released on Sunday. So the judge hasn't even come in.
Oh, so if I understand you, is it the situation that the matter has not proceeded?
No, he was arrested on Saturday and released on Sunday. And it was based on that Bright was arguing that this man has already confessed to...
If he was arrested on Saturday, then if I'm too clear, then it has not even been 48 hours upon the arrest of the certain gentleman. And because the law allows for 48 hours detention, immediately after which the person must be arraigned before court, where prosecution seeks to further remand, or where the police is seeking to further remand the person for further investigations. And the exercise, the police ordinarily can exercise certain degree of discretion, but in this high case of murder, one wonders why the hurry by the police to grant the person bail by themselves and not even have the court grant the bail than they themselves.
All right, we'll have to end it here, but thank you very much. And that was criminal lawyer Hesse, Mom Hesse, Christian Mom Hesse. Thank you for sharing your views with us.
Oh, it's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 or live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's still stay a bit further with the Ghana Police Service, shall we? It's some 12 minutes to the top of the hour, and deep cracks are emerging amongst members of a special committee instituted by Parliament to investigate the contents of a leaked audio on which some senior police officers are heard allegedly plotting with a former New Patriotic Party regional chair to remove the Inspector General of Police, Judge Ekofo Dampare, from office. These cracks followed the presentation of the report of the special committee to Parliament without the signature of the chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachia. All other 7 members of the committee signed this report, which is in the public domain now, and we have copies of it. We've been serializing since Friday. Now, what we're hearing is that Samuel Atachia does not agree with the findings and conclusions reached by the other members, and also wanted the committee to invite more witnesses after some allegations were made against the IGP, including claims he supervised extrajudicial killings. This is an allegation the IGP has denied. Now, our sources also picking up strong indication that the chair of this committee, Samuel Atachia, is said to present to the House his own report, his version of the report. And Dr. Adam Bona is going to be joining us in a bit to have a quick conversation on this development that Samuel Atachia, the chair of this committee, says, you know what, with what is in the public, I do not agree. I haven't signed it. I'm going to put out my own report, which will detail his reservations about the initial report, which is in the public domain now, laid before the House. Again, Samuel Atachia has completely denied that he authorized a report that has been laid before the House. Tomorrow, this matter is going to come up in Parliament, but if you recall, on Tuesday, June 18, when the Majority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompreh, sought leave of the Second Deputy Speaker for the report to be laid, the Chief Whip was asked if he had sought the permission of the Chairman for the report to be laid, a question he has said in the affirmative. The report, which is now being challenged, was laid by the Chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee, Kennedy Ohinia Japong, supposedly on behalf of the Chairman of the Special Committee, Samuel Atachia. It is not clear yet which rules Samuel Atachia will apply or rely on to present his own version of the report, as the standing orders do not make room for separate reports from different members of a committee. So that's what we're hearing right now, that there's some deep cracks within the membership of the special committee that was instituted by Parliament to investigate this content of this leaked audio. And Dr. Adam Bona, who's been following this quite closely, is joining us on the telephone. He's a security analyst. Dr. Bona, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Alfred. Thank you for having me.
How does this strike you? Now we're hearing that Samuel Atachian says, well, with the report on this IGP leaked audio tape that is making the rounds in the public domain, I did not sign it. I do not agree with some of the conclusions in that statement, this report by the other 7 members of the committee. So I am going to produce my own report with my disagreements in there.
Well, I don't think it changes anything. I don't think it changes anything when you go to court. If there are own standing orders, if you take their standing orders, you look at it critically. For ad hoc committees, the chairman has what they call the casting vote or the ballot votes. What it means is that you don't have an original vote. And so when, they are not able to agree on issues, they put it to vote. If there is a tie, that is when the chairman comes in. And so as far as I'm concerned, whatever he says, whatever he writes, is an indictment on he himself. Because then I'm not sure what he was in Parliament doing, whether he was serving his own interest or the interest of his people. If there is a bipartisan probe, and you have 3 MPP members, 3 NDC members, with 1 technical person, with a clerk, making them 8, and amongst them, you are the only one who refused to sign because you disagree. It tells a lot about his own character. It tells a lot about his own behavior, because then, Alfred, I have chaired committees that are of national in nature, and usually, as a chairman, you would have your own opinions, but your opinions don't matter. It is the unanimity. It is all of you. When you disagree and there's a disagreement and you put the matter to vote, and let's say you are 5 of you, and 3 voted against your opinion, the 3 have won. And so you are duty bound to go by that. But what some of us are hearing is that he took flight, he left, he ran away from the committee. And who would do that? When such an important, you saw an important committee has been put together. 2 of MPP members have signed. The 2 members on the side signed it. Is he saying that he's more intelligent? He's so wise. He's wiser than all the other people, including the special committee clerk who signed the report? I don't think so. You see, the most important thing which we must reiterate is that there are 3 MPP members, of which he is one of them. 2 of them signed it. One of them today is a cabinet minister. It means that, by and large, the committee, including the MPP, even though these persons were scheming to rig the elections on behalf of the MPP does not agree to any election rigging. That is the signal it sends. Then you say, I'm going to write my own report. I mean, that is if you ask me, that is undermining. I mean, that is he has a right to do whatever he pleases. It's a democracy. But mine is that, can you imagine if Atachian was the Speaker of Parliament? Can you imagine if he was ever the Speaker of Parliament with this behavior? What will happen? You have had NDC members disagree openly with the current Speaker of Parliament. Even Speaker Makokwe, he had his own MPP people, they disagree with him. And you can name them. Are you going to say that when you are superintending over a house and there is a disagreement, you bail off? You bail off because you think you have a parachute? You bail off because you have a parachute? That's what Atachian is doing. He's bailed off because he has a parachute and say, take care of yourself. I have landed. At the same time, when you landed before me, I have also landed. I will tell people what happened. I mean, is that what you do when you are in a... So for me, Alfred, you see, it is him but some of us, you see, we will continue to be citizens. But we will be hoping that he will not put himself up for any international, maybe position at the UN, at the AU, ECOWAS, or attempt anything at the national level. Maybe he can do it at the village level. Even at the village level, we'll petition against him.
You petition against him that what?
To lead anyone. He's so incompetent to lead anyone. Maybe he can lead himself, but he cannot lead anyone.
This is Atachian we are talking about. You say he's incompetent?
Oh, of course. Why? Why not? I mean, he's incompetent. I mean, professionally, he's incompetent. I am telling you that. I have chaired committee. One of the committees I chaired had to do with the University of Ghana clash, the university students clash. I tell you the banter me and my committee members had. Some of the professors who were on my committee. We had these banters, serious banters. And I would sometimes have to call some of them to attempt to explain my side, why I think this should happen. As a chairman, there are certain things that went into our report that finally was submitted to the University Council. But I needed to sign the report. I agreed. The moment votes are taken and it does not favor me, it doesn't mean that what my colleagues are saying is wrong. It doesn't mean that what my colleagues are saying is wrong. So when I say he's incompetent, he's super incompetent. Maybe I should add that. He's super unimaginably incompetent. That's what I'm saying. Because then these people ganged up to rig an election. And at the committee, when you saw his biases playing out, when the question was put to COP Alex Mensah, are you a card-bearing member of the MPP? Your media house was there. Did you listen to him? What Atachian did was to tell Alex Mensah not to answer that question. So at that very moment, Atachian ceased being the chairman of the committee. As a chairman, you listen. While the secretary to the committee or the clerk make notes and they record. You listen and members ask questions. If you want any clarification, you do. He told him, don't answer. Because there are consequences if you do as a police officer. Eventually, on your own network also, COP Alex Mensah, disgracefully wanting vote at his constituents, came out to say he's been a card-bearing member of the party for a long time, whilst in service, and he has done donations, thinking that will lead people to vote for him. And so my point is that, what is he going to write? What is he going to write that will change whatever? Is he saying that Yabuama is a lawyer? His vice, James Agaga, is a lawyer. I think three of them, even the technical committee member, what's his name? Anand, Dr. Anand.
But Dr. Bola, so are you saying that if the chair of the committee says this detail of this report that has been published and is the public domain, I don't know the details of it. In fact, I have reservations about the details and the conclusions in there. So how do you expect him to put it across? Should he be quiet about it?
No. What I'm trying to say, Alfred, what I'm trying to say is that you ask anybody who has chaired a committee of this nature, or I have been a former student leader. You go into students, you go into executive meetings, and the entire student body the entire executive body will disagree with you. They put the issues to vote, and you lose. You gracefully accept that your views were not the best. That is why you lost. But you don't chicken out like a little boy and say that, and throw tantrums and say, oh, I am going to write my own report and submit my own report. Submit it to who? Is it the court or submit it to who? Is it the courts or where? It does not matter what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he thinks. When you go to the Supreme Court and a panel of 5 is put together and you have a judgment that 3 of them agree and 2 of them don't agree, the judgment comes out that The ruling was in favor or the ruling was against whatever the plaintiffs. Simplicity. You don't come and say that, oh, for me, I will bail out. Or you are a judge, you are a member of a panel of judges at the Supreme Court or High Court or Court of Appeal. And then once you are putting your report together, you notice that 3 of your members agreed with the way things should go, and 2 of you disagreed. Do you say because of that, I'm no longer part of the members of the panel, the panel? But that is what he has done. And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure whether they paid them allowance to do this type of job. If they did, he should be cited for, what do you call it, for some form of corruption, some form of, maladministration, something. Because then if they paid him, if they were paid to perform this task, if they were fed to perform this task, I think Honorable Atachi, I don't know whether he's honorable, but
he is,
should actually return whatever was given to him, if it was ever given to him.
Well, Dr. Bada, I appreciate your time on this matter. And in fact, tomorrow, this matter is subject to conversation in Parliament. So we'll see how things play out. But thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Adam Bada. And let me just reemphasize, Samuel Atachi is indeed still a member of Parliament, is honorable member of Parliament. For the people of the Boko South constituency. He is the chair of this committee, the special committee that was established by Parliament to look into these allegations captured on this leaked audio, plotting to allegedly have the president remove the IGP. This matter is, in this coming days, going to be topical in Parliament because this report, which has been leaked, which the chair of the committee says he does not agree with the conclusions in this report, is going to be a subject of conversation in Parliament. So we'll keep an eye on that. 3 minutes after 6, we'll be back shortly after this quick break here on Hot Edition with the business news with Bismarck Awusa. But before we go for the business news,